Welcome back to Movie Crusade, where we defend good movies and destroy bad ones. So, what are the 5 things every good movie should have? Well, guess what?
What?
The popes have told us.
Really?
They have. They knocked on my door and said, "Hey, Tony, did you know these are the 5
They
things?"
were handing out their encyclicals.
They were like
Through the
so
neighborhood.
nice.
Like
They were so
newspaper
nice.
boys.
Yeah, they came to Ave Maria, Florida, and gave me.
Guys, this is crazy. I'm a filmmaker.
It's true.
I have a bachelor's of divinity. You have more than that. What do you have?
I think just a master's. I don't think
Just a master's? That's a lot.
maybe licentiate. It came from the Lateran, but they have a different ranking system in Rome.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm in the minor leagues, but I studied this. I care about film. I even took a retreat once where I was like, I'm going to read what the church has said about film. But I found one document from Vatican II. That was all I found. And like, what was it? 3 months ago, 5 months ago, very recently, we're discovering, I know Google could discover this, but we're discovering that the church has written, Pope Pius XI and Pope Pius XII, they both wrote an encyclical on film. So encyclical is authoritative.
Big time.
Father, what is an encyclical? Help me with that.
a long writing from a pope.
And it's pretty high up. It's not like just a
That's right.
interview.
I don't think they're considered infallible, but pretty close.
Yeah. And when the Pope is speaking in a universal way, or he's speaking about faith or morals, it does have weight to it. But yeah, we wouldn't say it's
But it's pretty
airtight,
close.
infallible. It's pretty close.
Yep.
It's crazy to me that the church wrote encyclicals on film and it says things about film, says you should do this in film.
Right. That's right.
Okay, Catholics listening, did you know there's at least, we're working on this, but at least 5 principles every good film should have? I'm going to read them one at a time and we can talk about them.
We're going to talk.
Number 1, God must be on the horizon. Here's a quote. This is actually from an apostolic exhortation. So apostolic exhortation is not as high as an encyclical, but this one is written by Pius XII. He says, quote, even films morally above reproach can yet be spiritually harmful if they offer the spectator a world in which no sign is given of God or of men who believe in him and worship him. A world in which people live as though God did not exist. End quote. So what this is saying, what I think this is saying is God doesn't have to be evident everywhere in every scene. Like not every film needs to be a man for all seasons where it's like they're always doing godly things, but that the world can't be such that God doesn't exist or they never speak about God. And elsewhere in the encyclical, he says, I think later on, he says, this can be a simple prayer because it's natural. If you're making a movie, it's natural that people would be praying because that's just people are naturally religious. So what do you say to that?
I say that the way that you've written that is great. God must be on the horizon.
Thanks.
It doesn't have to be. Not every movie's holy people doing holy things. That's not the way it is. That's totally fine. But he's got to be there. He's got to be there. We have to see like, okay, I see this principle that you have. I see what we've got here, and God is present. And I love that. That is the first one right off the bat.
And we can go to the graphic when you guys have a chance. You can throw it up as we're talking. You can switch back and forth to it. Father, what do you say?
I thought it was funny before we recorded. You said that this came from an old school encyclical, and I said horizon sounds a little poetic for an encyclical. And Cameron goes, "Well, that's just what I've extrapolated from it." But it's very good, and it connects to moral theology. But that in moral theology we know there's sins of omission and there's sins of commission. There's sins of commission of things you do, sins of omission of things that you should have done but you failed to do. And so, not that we're projecting quote sin onto these movies. Actually, there is sin if they make bad movies. Morally offensive movies. But that's such a fascinating one that you just described because it's basically saying the movie can miss the mark not only through, you know, sex and violence and all these other bad things, but if there's a lack of any reference to, as you say, God on the horizon, then it has missed the mark.
That's right.
I think that's that. And like you said, Tony, this doesn't mean every movie has to be about a saint or a priest or a nun or whatever else. But, you know, if you've traveled the world, if you go to most of the rest of the world, there is a sense of the divine, even among non-Catholics,
That's right. That's
and I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying we all worship the same God and every religion is pleasing to God. Of course, I'm the last person in the world to say that. But why in the world would Americans or Europeans make movie where God isn't even on the horizon when this is the hunger of every man and woman's heart, right? So it's not even going to...
That's exactly right.
I graduated Boston College, and Peter Kraft actually called it a scandal of Hollywood that any movie, not any movie, but so many movies that have God as a center, or at least is about religious things, do tremendously successfully. Why wouldn't, in other words, what he was saying was if Hollywood was only after money, they would do this, but perhaps Satan's behind some of this since they're going to even ignore money.
That's right.
To put their...
That's right.
Oh, how much money has been absolutely burned and thrown over a cliff for these woke movies. They know they're not going to make money. They know they do another Star Wars series and it's going to flop because they have a transgender dinosaur. I don't know.
Those are the worst.
Or like, I mean, I saw you had
someone who identifies as
Prince of
transgender
Egypt on there, and people out there might be laughing that we have cartoons on our list of favorite movies, but I love the two DreamWorks, one of Joseph and the one of Moses, right?
Yes.
And that went so far. I think those guys broke off from Disney. Those movies went so far beyond what anyone expected as far as success. And why? Because there's people out there who are willing to see a cartoon about Joseph of the Old Testament or Moses of the Old Testament. In fact, millions of people are willing to see that.
Many.
I have to fess up to you guys.
Okay.
The first principle. You know how we've been ranking every movie ever?
Yeah.
I've ranked some movies pretty high.
Oh, we're going to have to.
And they I won't say they reject because there's levels to this, right? You can say God does not exist, or you can say, wait, does God exist in this world? You know what I mean? There's levels to this. A movie like Soul, which we love a lot, shows this like
that was weird. Yeah.
Ethereal heaven.
Yeah.
There's also the great before, so there's pre-existence of the soul. But yeah, there's no, God isn't there, even though they're...
Re-rank.
We have to re-rank it.
Re-rank.
And, you know, we talked about Braveheart earlier. My opinion would be, it's not like, oh, that movie's poisonous. But I think you got to be aware of it. I think we would classify it as toxic. It's a toxic element. And you got to discernedly take those things into yourself.
Yeah.
As you watch the movie, realize this movie, a guy goes to heaven or the afterlife, and where's God? Like that is missing the mark.
Yeah.
So these principles,
you know, you do see a priest in Braveheart. What sacrament is he doing?
Last rites. Oh wait,
marriage.
Marriage is
marriage.
The one,
that's right.
Yeah.
Because this is 12th century. Almost none of Scotland had gone Calvinist by this point, and so it's a wedding in secret because of prima nocte.
I did.
Oh, prima nocte's one of the evilest things I've heard in a movie. That was diabolical.
That kind of hit me pretty bad. Like, oh, that's not good. But it was pretty cool to see them signing the cross in different parts of Braveheart. That was pretty cool to see that. We are bringing back family movie night. Nothing makes me happier than to see The Karate Kid. Now, I must say, okay, none. Yeah, I don't remember the nudity in The Karate Kid. Thanks be to God, Mr. Miyagi kept his clothes on. But
yeah, it does say none there.
Okay, I saw that.
Yeah.
It just, my eyes went to nudity, and I was like, okay,
oh my gosh, really?
Wait, what?
Wait, was there some?
No, it says none.
See?
Oh, it should be
there was none sex, none nudity.
None of that. None's of that. I don't remember the gore, but yeah, okay, maybe some violence.
There's a mild. It says mild.
Okay, anyway.
Some black eyes.
You're gonna, there was some black eyes. The Karate Kid's amazing. Okay, we're losing it. You're going to want to go to vidangel.com and use promo code Crusade. Guys, here's the great thing. I've done this, and if I can do it, you can do it. That's vidangel.com. Use promo code Crusade. It's towards the end. That's vidangel.com. Promo code Crusade. Let's hit these other four.
Principle number 2.
Okay.
Objective goods must be clearly good. So obviously a film has, variations of, there's bad people doing bad stuff, good people doing bad stuff, and it's complicated, but at least the objective goods must be clearly good. So here's a quote about specifically about religion from the Ideal film again. There is need of considerable finesse and depth of religious sentiment and human tact in order not to offend and profane what men hold sacred. End quote.
Thank you.
And then, we have other quotes about church and family and state. Like these things cannot be undermined in a movie.
I'm not trying to jump
on it
to number 3, but I think those two go hand in hand.
Number 3.
Good must be good and evil must be evil.
Grave evils must be clearly evil. Well, those go together.
And that was part of the impetus for the Hays Code, which was written as 1930, is that there were a lot of these movies that were portraying these gangster films of the 20s, like as they were rightly doing their crazy pillaging or whatever they were doing in these gangster movies, and the police were the bad guys. They were showing the good guys as bad and the bad guys as good. It was
so it violated the goodness of the state then in that case. What do you say?
Well, yeah, and I think this is where we see one of my nieces recently saw Wicked. Now I haven't seen Wicked, but this is one of those movies, and I think it was in the
I did see
Broadway,
it, yeah.
right?
You did?
And so the notion is
on an airplane. Don't look at me like that. Like I scheduled time out of my day.
It's another stupid musical. Actually, I was watching you watch that. Were you on the same flight?
Probably.
Anyway, sorry, Father.
Notice I said my niece watched it. But my only point on this is like my understanding from her description is the good witch is the bad witch, and the bad witch had a bunch of childhood excuses why she's truly the good witch. Now, I'm not saying that's morally wrong, but when there's so many villains who have an excuse for their evil these days, or I know a lot of Catholic parents have had a problem with movies like How to Train Your Dragon. Like dragons were traditionally demons. Should kids really be talking to demons? Are these your friends? Anyway, this ties into 3, right? Number 3, that we don't have clearly delineated lines. See, kids actually have brains that are very black and white, and they need those black and white. So we shouldn't have good witches
I showed
as
my
bad.
kids 11 and 9 years old. I showed them Lord of the Rings because it's clear, right?
Yes.
Look at these orcs. Those are evil. Look at this white rider. He's good.
Yeah. Orcs be nasty.
Orcs be nasty. So here's a sub point that's it was really fascinating to me reading these documents. Is that underneath grave evils, you can have a grave evil in a movie. There's certain evils that are not like attractive to us, right? Like betrayal.
Exactly.
Wouldn't be like, oh, I want to betray someone now. It's not like, but there are evils that are attractive. And we talked about sexual sin when we talked about Braveheart. Yeah. With an attractive sin, you can't even show that on its face because the audience is attracted to it.
Right.
The people on set are attracted to that. The actors are attracted to that.
And the popes wrote about that. Pope Pius XI and the 12th both wrote about that in 36 with Vigilante Cura, and then Pope Pius XII with the Apostolic Exhortation came first in 55, the Ideal Film, and then Miranda Proarchus in 57. They were of one same mind, of the Holy Spirit for sure, they are pointing these things out. These are grave evils. These are things that cannot happen because cinema takes us out of reality and puts us in our own little fantasy world where we accept whatever is put in front of us.
This is a quote from, what's I Am? That was a different one.
That was the...
Moros?
Isn't that the part of Vatican II document?
Oh, yeah. So that was a Vatican II document. Well, let me read this. I think this quote's actually better from the Ideal Film. It says... for the attractive sins, it should show its condemnation through the entire course of the film and not merely at the end. Frequently, it would come too late after the spectator is already beguiled and entrapped by evil promptings. Like we don't remember. It's not like we need it condemned in the very fact.
And it doesn't mean that the storyline has to hit you over the head with something basic without anything complex. But see, this is the difference between sex and violence is I think, like you said, sex, when it's bad in a movie, entraps you into still somehow thinking it's good, where violence, usually you have a sense it's bad. Now, I'm not saying all violence in movies is good. I think that's an important topic to discuss in some of our later things. But generally, you understand violence to be bad, and very few people can reject the sex scenes as actually bad.
And Our Lady of Fatima, the seer, I think it was Jacinta, said that more people are damned for a sexual sin than any other sin.
Was it sexual sin or sins of the flesh?
Sins of the flesh.
Sins of the flesh, yeah. That's...
Yes. And then later, Sister Lucy clarified that modesty was a huge part of that. So, it's almost like Hollywood and the movies that are being seen tie into Fatima directly here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of all the attractive sins. So let's go to number 4.
Got it.
Human dignity must be respected. So there's a lot of overlap between, we're talking about sexual sins, the human dignity of the actors and the crew. We've already talked about that. That must be respected.
Yeah.
And then things like violence can also violate this because you have, you think of a Quentin Tarantino movie and maybe some shots from Braveheart. Like we didn't really talk about the extent of the violence.
Pretty crazy violent scenes.
And if you look at a movie like Sound of Freedom, some people would say, well, Sound of Freedom doesn't follow that because there's kids trafficked. No. What number 4 means is, what is the thrust of the movie? What is the intention?
Yes.
The intention of Sound of Freedom is not to overturn the dignity of children, it's to defend it through seeing what some very, very evil people have done it. So all of these have to be taken not at a superficial level, but at the level of what is the intention of the movie makers.
Yeah, if the hero was a trafficker.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or if you showed abuse, that those would be violating human dignity. So that one's, you can find that all throughout church teaching. It's not even in these films. It's not just in these encyclicals. So number 5 is human experience must be authentic. So here's a quote. And this is from the Ideal Film. Quote, avoid all trace of artificiality and affectation, every impression of a lesson learned mechanically, since true religious feeling is essentially the opposite of external show and does not easily allow itself to be declaimed. Religious interpretation, even when carried out with the right intention, rarely receives the stamp of an experience truly lived and as a result capable of being shared with the spectator, end quote. The movie that comes to mind, so, human experience must be authentic. That includes religious experience. And the movie that comes to mind for me is Cabrini, right? Because you can say everything was good about that film, except it wasn't authentic.
Right.
That is not her life. That's not this nun's life. It's not any nun's life who does great things because it wasn't authentic to her religious experience.
Right. So I did this because I was a woman. Really? You serious?
Yeah. So those are the
woman
5
of prayer.
Those are the 5 principles. That's pretty cool. What do you think, Father?
Those are great. I don't know what declaimed means. What does that word mean?
I was going to ask you. You have the masters. Didn't they teach you that in master's
I've never
class?
heard the word in English. I don't know what it means.
Declaimed. Cannot easily be declaimed. Like I think that means like explained or attributed to.
Well, and I think all 5 of these, looks like we have very minimal time. All 5 of these really tie into what Tony was saying there, that it doesn't have to be a Protestant football movie. It doesn't have to be, getting people to say the altar call. But there has to be something that's transcendent and not only imminent in all of these movies.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's a movie we're ranking in a future show. And basically what we're going to do as we rank movies is we're going to go into these principles a little more practically, because we can say this movie is toxic because of these reasons.
Right.
And this movie is certified good and healthy for these reasons. So we'll definitely get into it.
Let it be said, though, that...
Say it.
This is what...
Let's say it at the same time.
Well, we can't do that. That's like synchronized swimming, and we're nowhere near that.
Let's say it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. You got...
I was like...
Okay, go ahead.
This is what the church has taught us. These are treasures of the church. We're talking about 2 encyclicals and an apostolic exhortation. And 2 popes, Pius XI and Pius XII, have written on this. This is what's important. And this is why we are bringing that to light now. And I'm glad that you focused on those 5, because from here on out, on Movie Crusade, that's what's going to drive how we rank, how we judge, how we look at these things.
Yes, so we need to think about film criticism differently.
And stop with the subjectivity. Oh, well, we're all men and we all need to rape and pillage and slaughter because that's what we're born to do. Like,
I hate those people who say that.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about?
All those movie critics.
Yeah, like, you know, Bert and Ernie are always saying that.
The raping and pillaging movie critics.
Ebert and his friend are always wanting to just, they're just chomping at the bit.
They're going crazy,
always
man.
saying
Go
that.
burn down their suburban neighborhoods.
You guys are crazy. If you liked that clip, which I'm sure you did, then check out our other clips. And don't forget to go into the comments section and hype this bad boy. Don't make me get fat cardinal. Hype it now.